So, maybe I'll just start with a word. I noticed that people may have been speaking during some of the other speeches. And that's fine. I speak all the time. I'm a rabbi of a synagogue. But Leah isn't coming here to give a speech. She's coming here to bring her son home. Please give her your full and undivided attention.
Thank you. So I'm very excited, and good afternoon. I'm happy to be between friends, Rabbi Chaim Steinmetz, the Falik family, and all the rest of my friends from Israel. My son, Hadar Goldin, and I would like to say a word about this sign. It actually was prepared by Ramaz school students, and they carry it during the parade that we had earlier for the last few years. And in Hebrew, we say, Kol Yisrael arivim ze bazeh. This is the basic of Am Yisrael. And Hadar, my son, actually went to Gaza in 2014 along with his twin brother, Tzur, who was the commander of the Falik family, a son, Shmulik. And unfortunately, during ceasefire that was violated by Hamas, he was killed and captured and is held by the Hamas until this day, almost 8 years. And we are actually fighting to bring him home to decent burial. This ceasefire was brokered by the United States and the United Nations. So actually, Hadar is a victim of a ceasefire. And we actually approach the United States and the United Nations to take responsibility for his return. And as such, Hadar is actually an American Jewish problem. And we need Am Yisrael to help us bring him home.
Yeah, just to emphasize the point that Leah is making, the ceasefire that was violated by Hamas, in which Hadar's body was taken, was a ceasefire that had been brokered by the American Secretary of State and the United Nations. And they need to stand behind the ceasefire that they brokered. And that means that the American government should be the ones that are worrying about bringing Hadar home, not Leah and Simcha, who have gone on a lonely journey to bring them home. And if I may, as a rabbi, just sort of add in a little bit of color. For us, the idea of giving someone a proper burial is one of the most important religious concepts. We have an idea called Meit Mitzvah, which means that even the Kohen Gadol, even if he's going to slaughter his Korban Pesach, he comes and puts everything aside, and he puts aside all other halachot to ensure that someone gets a dignified burial. This is what Leah and Simcha are asking for their son Hadar. This is a responsibility that lies on the shoulders not just of them, not just of the Israeli government, not just of the American government and really the international community, but above all, it lies on the shoulders of Jews worldwide. And that's why Leah is here to speak about it.
Yeah. We've been gone through the world and managed to show that Hadar's incident is actually a standing violation of the humanitarian law, international humanitarian law, which means that whoever is supporting Gaza directly or indirectly under the humanitarian law is actually responsible to bring the missing persons and dead. That means that the United States, that they decided to invest in Gaza, this means that they are responsible to bring Hadar and Oron as a confidence-building measure to any agreement. That goes, of course, for the other countries, the donors, and etc. So actually, I mean, historically, unfortunately, it is known that to release Israeli captured soldiers, we had to release sentenced terrorists. But nowadays, there are other options, and they are more powerful. not just to bring our boys, our soldiers home, but to flip the equation for the long range, so those terrorists will know that they shouldn't touch any Jew, any Israeli soldier, because this is going to cost them. And so what we do is actually act according to our basic value, Kol Israel Arevim Ze Baze, and think, and we need everyone to think in her or his own circles, or more than that, to find any decision makers, because we believe that at the end of the day, we have to find the right persona to push, in the right place to push the right button, because we've been hosted by the State of Department, by the White House, by congressmen, and got wonderful response, positive response to help. But somehow there is more to do. And that's what I'm here for Hadar and for Oron and for two other citizens that unfortunately are held captured by the Hamas, and Avera Mengistu and Isham Sayed. So I would like to say a word about Hadar. Or
I'm just going to add in just a little bit, which I think needs to be understood. You know, I'm the rabbi of Congregation Kilath Jeshurun, which is here on the east side. Many of you know it as KJ, which is affiliated with the Ramaz School. We've had the Goldins multiple times in our synagogue. We had them just yesterday on Shabbat. The Ramaz School is marching with these signs right now at the Israel Day Parade. But we need a network of synagogues and communities that are going to take this on their shoulders. There's an idea that's mentioned in the Mishnah of nosei ba'ol chavero, to carry the burden of your neighbor, of your friend. This should not be Leah and Simcha's burden alone. We need to carry it as well. And that's why we're here, because we know that many of you are from different communities in the United States. Bring this home. Invite Leah and Simcha to come speak to your community. Talk about it in your schools. We need to be engaged. We don't know when the door will open, but we can't give up. We need to be engaged, and as a community, as the American community, we cannot turn our backs on Leah and Simcha.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And just one sentence about Hadar. A very talented boy left us with a wonderful legacy, art legacy, which we are going to open a new exhibition in Philadelphia on June 1st, and then continue after the break of COVID-19. And he left us with a wonderful written legacy, like his remarks for Mesilat Yesharim. And just to share with you one of his statements that he wrote, and we have a record of it, and he taught it to his Chanichim in Bnei Akiva and soldiers in the army. You have, in your life, you have two options, to deal with yourself or to do great things. And that's what I'm telling to myself every day. Thank you.